What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Bourbon and Bets. I'm your host, Zach Stonerock. This is our 50th episode, so we're going to try out something new, and we're going to try out this whole YouTube game. So joining me on the episode today, I got my guy, Avery Cunningham. Avery, welcome to the show.
Hey, man, thank you for having me on your 50th episode. It's a milestone for you.
Hey, man, I appreciate that, and, there's no one else I'd rather have on this episode with me than a former Central Michigan standout. 49 consecutive starts?
Yeah, I think so. It's 49, yeah. Something like that.
Yeah. So we're in the presence of greatness now, guys.
It was like 40. It doesn't matter. It's
43.
It
doesn't matter.
43. No, seriously, 43 consecutive, but 49 consecutive plate. So.
All right, man. So, guys, like Avery mentioned and I mentioned, this is our 50th episode. So it's a big milestone for us. We are a small sports gambling podcast located here in Central Ohio. For those of you who aren't familiar, gambling is not legalized. Sports gambling is not legalized in the state of Ohio yet, so that's something that we're really hoping can get pushed through. I'm hearing rumors that it's probably going to be closer towards like March Madness time, if there is a March Madness, COVID. But we're really hoping that that's able to get pushed through because we have limited access to the bets that we can place right now. As soon as everything is opened up, we're going to be able to talk about a lot more. But for now, we just stick to point totals and spreads because that's kind of what we have access to. We have a few connections in different states. Indiana is our main connection where we have them go place bets for us. So as soon as it gets legalized here, we're going to be able to have the apps on our phone. We're going to be able to do some live betting, some different player props. So definitely looking to expand the show as that comes up. So. But 50th episode, we are doing a giveaway because we appreciate you guys. Without you guys, this wouldn't be possible right now. Very, very, very small business. We're really hoping to grow this thing into a much bigger business and be able to expand and grow. And right now we're in the Stone Rock Fitness Studio, which is the studio pretty much is just my gym that I own. So the goal for us would be to expand and be able to actually get a legitimate studio and different things like that, but none of that would be possible without you guys, so we appreciate it. As far as the contest giveaway goes, we are giving away a 10-ounce Yeti low ball, I believe they call it a Rumbler, so go check out our Instagram, at Bourbon and Bets on Instagram, follow us. There's a post up there right now. Go ahead and double tap that post, go ahead and put a like on it, tag 3 friends, share it to your story, and ask your friends to follow the page as well. That's a lot of rules. Make sure you guys follow all the rules. We want you to have an opportunity to be able to enter in this contest and have an opportunity to win that. It's a black Yeti cup that's branded with the Bourbon and Bets logo on it. Very sharp looking. There's a picture of it on the post. So make sure you guys go check that out. Avery, you got anything to add to that? Anything about the 50th episode?
No, just appreciate everybody listening, everybody tuning in to us, just talking about sports. I know it's a hard time, so there's a hard time out in the world for everybody. For a lot of people. So just to be able to talk about sports, something that like maybe lighten up your mood or anything. So we just appreciate y'all tuning in.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys giving us anywhere from about 15 minutes to an hour of your time, a couple times a week. To let us penetrate your ears and hear us talk. And, Avery, former college athlete, so he has a little bit more clout than what I do. I'm just a guy from Reynoldsburg here. I'm like LeBron.
Don't sell yourself short.
Just a guy from Akron. But, so, we're not your normal talking heads. So we appreciate it, guys. Seriously, we do this because we enjoy it, and we hope that we bring a little bit of enjoyment to you as well. Make sure you guys enter that contest. Make sure you're subscribed to the show. We hope that you guys enjoy spending some time with us. But we're going to go ahead and jump into the actual show now. So we're going to talk about the Big Boy Parlay. Avery, you ready for that?
Let's do it.
All right. So the first thing we are going to talk about.
Wait, what was our record this week?
So that's what I'm going to get to. Unfortunately, our record was not great. This was definitely a down week for us again. We've had 2 of them in a row after we went 8-1. I think it's still just a little bit of shock from that 8-1 record that we had in week. This was just week 7, so I was back in week 5. This week we went 3-4-2. Again, I look at pushes as a win in the gambling world because if the sports book doesn't cancel the bet because of a push, then it means you still have a chance at some money. You got a chance at less money, but you still have a chance at some money. So we're going to count those as wins. But we won 3, lost 4, and pushed on 2 of them. We're going to go ahead and jump into those games right now and tell you guys what happened. So the first game that we're going to talk about, Avery, is going to be the Carolina Panthers, New Orleans Saints. Big Carolina Panthers fan. I'm rocking this. Avery's rocking the Bourbon and Bets t-shirt. If you guys want one, reach out to us. They are available. We can give you all the information on that. I got mine on underneath the – you can't really see the whole thing, but it is on underneath here. So Carolina Panthers, the New Orleans Saints. The Saints hosted the Panthers down in New Orleans. We took the over at 51. That was the point total. This game ended up in a push. New Orleans ended up winning 27-24. So the Panthers move on to have a record of 3-4, and the Saints are at 4-2. They're both in the NFC South. So when we're looking at this game, the spread also was 6.5 points. New Orleans was the favorite in this one. So the Panthers were able to cover the spread there. But with the point total, I mean, this one was a close one. I mean, for anyone who watched this game came down to Joey Sly having the opportunity at a 65-yard field goal, which would have been a new NFL record. Came up just short. I mean, Avery, I don't know if you saw the kick or not, but this kick was as close to being in as it was out. Missed probably by maybe a foot. So that one definitely hurt. Number one, because that could have tied up the game. Number two, as a Carolina Panthers fan, I would love for our kicker to hold that record. That record, I believe, was set by Matt Prater. That Jason Elam? One of those guys.
Everybody. There's Brendan Manners. There's a lot of 60-yard field goals.
So it'd be nice to bring that record to Carolina. But basically, I mean, Avery, I want to get your insights on this game, but for me, it really just came down to the fact that Carolina couldn't run the ball. Mike Davis was stuffed. He only had 12 yards rushing. But that passing attack was pretty nice. DJ Moore finally had a good game. But the Saints were just a more balanced team. And Carolina, had to settle for field goals quite a bit. But Avery, I want to hear what your take is on this.
It's just impressive that New Orleans was able to come away with the win just on the fact that they didn't have their top 2 receivers, Emmanuel Sanders and Mike Thomas, both missing. Obviously, Mike Thomas has been out since week 2. But it's just, I mean, New Orleans defense kind of just been on a little roller coaster. I mean, but they finally kind of just showed you what they're capable of. They shut down Mike Davis, as you said. But they're a capable team, and if they can get back healthy, get everybody back, they can be there. They can be contenders, but it's just like they just got to get more consistent on defense and then just get everybody healthy on offense.
Yeah, I agree. So Avery, I want your take here. What do you think about Michael Thomas? Do you think his time in New Orleans is done? I mean, it seems like, obviously he got hurt, which is hard on anyone, right? It's hard on the team. It's hard on the player. The rehab process is brutal. I mean, for those of you guys who've never had a sports injury, getting hurt and then having to rehab that and learn how to train your body to do what it used to be able to do before the injury. I mean, it's a lot to take on. But then he comes back to practice, and I mean, there's reports that he's punching people in the face. I mean, there's got to be some frustration built up there. Do you think Michael Thomas is done in New Orleans, or do you think that we're going to see him be able to resurrect his career there?
I don't know. It's tough to call. I mean, he's obviously a talented player. But you never know what these teams may do. I didn't think Odell Beckham was going to get traded, and then right when I said that, like 5 hours later, he got traded to Cleveland. So I mean, people, like teams, these franchises, they have their own minds, and they got to make tough decisions sometimes. But if I had to put my money on it, I'd guess that they wouldn't trade him.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, you wouldn't think that they would trade him. It almost seems like back when OBJ got traded, it was almost like it was a punishment getting sent to Cleveland, because Cleveland at the time was still the Cleveland that we all know and love, right? Cleveland right now is looking like a good team, which we're going to talk about OBJ. Obviously, he's done for the season. But yeah, with Michael Thomas, I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, can the relationship be mended? I'm hoping it can, because I think Drew Brees and Michael Thomas, Drew Brees might be done after this season, but Avery, I'm pretty sure we're on the same page on this, but we both kind of see Jameis Winston being the quarterback there in the future, right? Or do you see them bringing in a draft pick?
I don't know. I mean, if you ask me, I think Jameis Winston is the most talented quarterback on the roster, but he's obviously not going to play over Drew Brees right now. And Drew Brees is a legend. No doubt about it. He's probably still at this moment the best, like to give you the best opportunity to win. But I don't know. It's a 1-year deal. He's got to prove it in practice. They're talking about maybe playing Taysom Hill, but I don't really see that happening either. So we'll just have to see. You never know what these franchises are thinking.
For sure. But anyway, I want Michael Thomas come back because whoever their quarterback is, he's going to be a weapon for him, right? So you'd love to see it happen. As a Carolina fan, I hope he gets traded, maybe to Carolina. Doubt they'll do that, within the NFC South there, but we can all be hopeful, right?
Yeah, and then one thing I want to add, I know they can kind of reconcile the differences, with Drew Brees, what some of his statements that he made before the season on kneeling during the anthem and whatnot. So it kind of felt like that's been swept under the rug. So I know it's a player friendly locker room. So I'm pretty sure whatever they're going through, they can get through it. So
yeah,
we'll have to see.
Absolutely. I mean, and that was, during a very heated time across the country. So the fact they were able to get through that as a team, you would hope that whatever's going on with Michael Thomas, that they're able to move on past that. So we're just going to have to wait and see with that one. As a Carolina fan, I want to see that franchise just fall apart. But as a football fan, I like the product of football they put on the field. So
yeah. Ohio State produced them. So there you go.
Ohio State hater right here. So us being in Columbus, the Central Ohio podcast, this guy hates Ohio State.
And unless they play Michigan and Michigan State, so I cheer for them. But every other time, nah.
All right, so we're gonna move on to the next game. It was Pittsburgh, Tennessee. The over/under in this was 50.5. Total in this game was 51, just like the Carolina game. The exact same final score, 27-24. Pittsburgh ended up winning this game. I believe Pittsburgh was a 1.5-point dog, too, going into this. I don't have that written down. Pittsburgh came out hot, though. They were up 14-0. Corey Davis had a little touchdown catch, made it 14-7. And then from there, it was kind of a little bit of a back and forth. It really came down to ball control. And that's what Tim and I had talked about on the episode leading up to this with the Week 7 preview, was ball control was going to determine this game. Pittsburgh had 13 more minutes of time of possession than what Tennessee had. And I truly think that that's what the difference maker was. Even though it was a 3-point game, it was decided by a Gostkowski missed field goal to tie it up at the end. 51 points when we went with 50.5, we went with the under on that. We were right on the money, which is just crazy that these odds makers are able to get these scores so close. I mean, even with the Carolina game, they thought it was going to be 51. It pushed at 51. They put this one at 50.5. It ended at 51. So very intelligent people making these odds. But Avery, we didn't take a winner in this game. We didn't take the spread. But this was a game between two undefeated teams. What was your biggest takeaway here?
My biggest takeaway is that Tennessee and Pittsburgh are real contenders. Tennessee was down 27-7 at one point. They fought their way back with a little bit of the help of Ben Roethlisberger making some careless throws towards the end of the game. But they're going to have a chance. They got Derrick Henry, so they're going to be able to run the ball. So that's one of the key ingredients to a championship team. I hope Tennessee will get a pass rusher, I think, or just get better pass rush. That's going to make their team even better. But both of these teams are going to contend for the title. Both well-rounded teams. Everybody knows about Pittsburgh, how their defense, offense is coming in shape. They got weapons all on their team. So it's going to be interesting to see, just how the season play out. They got another tough game. Pittsburgh plays Baltimore this week. Going to be a slobber knocker. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. So Pittsburgh moved to 6-0. I believe they're the last undefeated team in the league right now. Tennessee moves to 5-1. But I agree, both of these teams are contenders, right? on both sides of the ball. You mentioned Tennessee does need a better pass rush. I think that is really a big piece that they're missing. But from an overall standpoint, both of these teams are very well-rounded teams. Deontay Johnson ended up having a nice little game, bounce-back game. He had 2 touchdown catches from Ben Roethlisberger, which kind of took some attention away from my guy Chase Claypool, who happened to be my starting lineup in my fantasy game this week, and I think he got me like 0.9 points. So needless to say, I lost that game. Just keep sliding down those standings. But as long as I stay above this guy, I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, we're not even going to talk about fantasy football. It's his league. I'm ninth, so yeah, I got to claw my way back. So I got a lot of work to do.
We say still a long season. There's still a lot of opportunities.
Exactly.
So. All right, so
but I would buy low on Chase Claypool if if you can get him for a good price. I would go for it.
I'm trying to sell him high, so.
He can't sell him to me high.
I try. I guess I'm trying to sell him low now that he had a low game. But I could talk about Pittsburgh, Tennessee all day. I mean, these are 2 of my favorite teams in the league right now. I'm not a fan of these teams.
I was about to say Pittsburgh is your favorite team.
But they are fun to watch. Is what I'm alluding to. So we're going to talk about another game in a little bit too that is on the same scale for me. But we're going to move on and talk about the Green Bay Packers at the Houston Texans. Green Bay was favored by 3.5 here. They ended up blowing the Texans away 35-20. They were up 21-0 in the first half. Aaron Rodgers came out slinging. He had three first-half touchdown passes. Houston turned it on a little bit in the second half and started to make a little bit of a run. But Houston's Houston. Romeo Crennel is kind of doing the best he can with what he was left with when Bill O'Brien left. Anything stand out here for you, Avery?
Devontae Adams is a baller. He is definitely a top 3 wide receiver in this league, and he showed it. But he's maybe top 2 when it comes to route running. He can you jump up. He's just a playmaker. He runs good routes. Has one of the best releases. I'd lock him up, but I mean he can play, man. And I told you right before the week that. I don't know if he got player of the week, but I told you that, Aaron Rodgers is going to get player of the week, and, he had 4 touchdowns.
So he did not get player of the week, but he balled out. Aaron Rodgers did ball out. He didn't get my player of the week.
Yeah, not sure. I don't know. Well, I'm sure, it would probably be Lockett or something, but.
Yeah, you're probably right. So the next game we're going to move on to, just so you guys are keeping up here, we pushed on the Carolina game. We lost the Steelers game. We won the Green Bay game. So we're 1-1-1 right now as we're moving through these games. Next game we're going to talk about is the Los Angeles Chargers it was in L.A. They hosted the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Chargers were a 7.5-point favorite, and this game was pretty scary for most of the game to see if they were going to cover or not. Chargers ended up winning 39-29 to cover the spread. Chargers moved to 2-4. Jacksonville moved to 1-6. Justin Herbert making a strong case for Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, it's going to Joe Burrows, but yeah, he's making
a strong case. Yeah. I think he's actually going to win it, and I hope he does because of the bet that Tim, Avery, and Trevor and I all put in on who we're going to pick for Rookie of the Year. My guy, KJ Hamler, long shot. That's my gambling style. I don't think that's going to happen now unless he just really turns it on. Avery went with Joe Burrow, possible. No offensive line, so you got to give him some handicap points there.
Handicap points, what is he?
Hey, he has no offensive line, so with what he's able to do with what he has, he's killing it. Nothing but respect for Joe Burrow. Tim went with CeeDee Lamb. I feel bad for CeeDee Lamb. Dallas, we're going to get to it in a second, but they seem just to be throwing their season away too. And then Trevor went with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Started strong, started to pick it back up. Lev Bell's there now, so we're going to have to wait and see kind of how all this turns out, how they're going to work well together. But back to who we were just talking about, the Chargers. Justin Herbert threw for 347 yards and 3 touchdowns. Also impacted the game with his legs, had 9 rushes, 66 yards, and a touchdown there. Threw a 70-yard bomb to Jalen Guyton, and then hooked up with his clear-cut favorite receiver, Keenan Allen, 10 times for 125 yards. On the other side of the ball, James Robinson who's been really crushing. I mean, I'd say he's been a big surprise this year. Had 119 yards rushing, 1 touchdown, 4 catches for 18 yards, and a touchdown as well. Avery, any major takeaways from this game?
It seems like Jalen Guyton is catch like a deep ball like every game. Justin Herbert is just like, they're slinging it. I still feel bad for my boy Tyrod Taylor, but I think the Chargers made the right decision in going with Herbert. Congrats on his first win. I don't really have much else to say about the game. The Jaguars are they're trying to be bad. They're trying. Minshew. I'm a Minshew guy. I wish they would kind of build around him, but in reality, that's not going to happen. Him being the 6th-round pick, it's a sad situation there. With them only winning one game. Unfortunately, it's had to be against the team that he hates, or against the quarterback that he hates, the Colts. But yeah, it's nothing else to the game. Justin Herbert's just, good player.
I do hate Phillip Rivers.
I don't understand.
Out of all that, that's what I got was I hate Phillip Rivers.
I don't understand how you can hate a man that takes care of 33 kids. I don't get it.
I respect him as a father. How about that?
Okay.
Good for him.
Fair enough.
Dog shit quarterback now, but now. Phillip Rivers 5 years ago, great player. Anyway, the Chargers now, like I said, they're 2-4. Jacksonville's 1-6. I could see this Chargers team really having a turnaround, and I don't know if they're going to make a playoff run this year, but I think they're going to win a few games. And I think they're going to be tough for a lot of teams to match up with. Especially once they get healthy. Austin Eckler, he's still out right now, and they seem to think that's going to be drawn out a little bit longer. And that he definitely plays a big impact in their running game. So once they get him back, I can see the Chargers making a little bit of noise. Again, not saying they're going to make a playoff run, but anything's possible. Let's go ahead and move on to the Cleveland-Cincinnati game. Cleveland was favored by 3. We pushed here because apparently it's hard to make an extra point at the end of the game. So the final score to this was 37-34. Cleveland moves on to 5-2. Cincinnati's 5-1. Of course, Cincinnati would have a tie on their record. Bad news for Cleveland, though. OBJ, we did allude to it earlier, tore his ACL. He's done for the season, which, if you watch that play, he kind of just dives in to make a tackle, gets hit, falls to the ground. I don't really see where he would have tore his ACL, but an ACL tear is a non-contact injury, so I guess it could happen at any time. But
it can be a contact.
Yeah, it can be contact, but in that one, I didn't see his leg hit the runner or anything like that. So I don't know, maybe I missed something. But T's and P's for OBJ. Baker started out terribly, 0 for 5, an interception, and then went 22 for 23 with 5 touchdowns. And that one incompletion was a spike. So, the guy was perfect after his first drive. He got a huge catch from Donovan Peoples-Jones to win the game. But Joe Burrow still balled out. He had over 400 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. But I would say out of all those impressive stats from Joe Burrow, from Baker, for me, the most impressive play of the game was when Denzel Ward slid under that block to make that tackle. Did you see that play?
Yeah, no, Denzel. I think I missed that play, but Denzel Ward was balling though.
Yeah,
from what I've seen,
he literally. They threw like I believe it was a screen pass to Tyler Boyd. Denzel made a break on the play, and I forget who it was that was coming out to block him. Came out to block him, and Denzel slid across the ground to make the tackle and ended up tackling Tyler Boyd for a loss, which absolutely insane to see that play out that way. Any major takeaways here? It was a battle of the Ohio teams. You're a Cincinnati fan. What did you see in this game?
Cincinnati being Cincinnati. Losing in the worst possible ways. But that's a whole nother subject. But Baker Mayfield needs to play like this in order for Cleveland to, I don't think they're Super Bowl contenders now. They probably maybe on the cusp of being a top 10 team. But Baker, like if he plays like this, which I mean, I'm not going to expect him to go on a stretch for 22 for 23 for like 5 touchdowns. I don't expect that, every week. But he's got to play. He has to play better for this team to be successful.
I agree. And I mean, I think that we got to take that even further and say that not only does he have to play that way for them to be a playoff team, for them to be a good team, he's got to play that way to keep his job, really, because Cleveland at this point in his career has got to be making a decision as to whether or not he's going to be their franchise quarterback moving forward. And if he plays like he played against Cincinnati every game, the answer is an easy yes, in my opinion. But the problem with Baker is that he's inconsistent and he doesn't always play that way.
I think they already made a decision but it's just not public yet. They do have to. I think this is a year where they have to pick up his option. I do not expect it to get picked up. So I think next year he'll be in his final year, like in his contract. So,
ooh, hot take from Avery.
Yeah, I mean it's just it is what it is, man. I mean dude's talented, but he's just you still gotta put it out on the field. So
yeah.
Oof. There's no reason why with OBJ, Jarvis Landry, like the weapons that's on that team that you shouldn't be playing. I mean, in the past, like playing the way have you been playing? But I mean, luckily he had a good game. Unfortunately, it's against my Bengals, but he's got to play. He's got to be more consistent for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So Baker, you heard it here first. Avery said, "Update your resume, bub."
It wasn't that mean, but
all right. So let's move on to this next game, which this game just blew me away. Watching this game was painful. Buffalo at New York. The New York Jets, worst team in football. Buffalo started out the season extremely hot. Buffalo's favored in this game by 11.5. I believe I even said that no matter what the spread is against the New York Jets, take the team that's favored. Of course, that would always be the team playing the Jets because the Jets are never going to be favored, at least not this season. But
they're still going over their win projections totals.
I cannot wait until Week 10 where that's not even an option anymore.
It's like 2 more. Oh, yeah. I guess would be Week 10.
Yeah, so I cannot wait. But
all they gotta do is just win. What's their 0-7?
Just gotta win out.
Yeah, win out. Yeah.
I mean, they're trying to lose now, but yeah, all they have to do is win out. So, like I said, Buffalo's favored by 11.5. Buffalo did end up winning this game after a pretty scary first half when the Jets went up 10-0. Trevor, who has been on this show with us multiple times, big Buffalo fan. We have a group message. We were texting him and. He was like, I'm not even watching the game. I'm taking a nap.
He was like, dude, no speak English.
He was definitely pretty embarrassed. But I mean, this was a crazy game. I mean, Buffalo, they just couldn't finish in the red zone. They got to the red zone 5 times and they couldn't score touchdowns. They ended up having all field goals, 6 field goals. I don't know what else to say about this game. I mean, you have the Jets, who are just a bad football team, and Buffalo, who put a bad product on the field. Josh Allen didn't play great. He hasn't played great the past few games. I don't know. My biggest takeaway is that Buffalo's got to get it together if they're going to win the AFC East. But any takeaways that you saw?
It's crazy that we're saying that Josh Allen is not playing great, and he still had over 300 yards passing and over 60 rushing yards. So I mean that just goes. I mean it just goes to show you how high his floor is, but they can't be so dependent on him. Like they're gonna have to eventually establish a run game. Their defense, they've been getting gashed. These past. Well, not last week, but I mean, I remember when they played the Chiefs. They gave up 245 rushing yards. If you have these Super Bowl aspirations, the conference isn't the strongest conference, so they'll have a chance to I mean, their division is not the strongest division, so they'll have the chance to win their division. But I think I said it before the season, so I still got to stick with the Miami Dolphins winning the division. So even though we'll see what Tua does. I know the world's excited, but yeah, Buffalo's really dependent on Josh Allen. So he's definitely got to play better. They got it, but they also have to establish more of a run game for them to just to be better. They play Patriots this week, so they're going to definitely be tested. I'm sure you probably expect them to win. because the Patriots are really struggling on offense, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean the Patriots are really struggling on offense. The thing with Josh Allen is if you look at his stats, you would assume, if you didn't watch the game, you would assume he had a good game. The problem is that he doesn't capitalize when he needs to capitalize. I mean, the goal of the game is to put points on the board, and he does great from 20 to 20, but when he gets inside the red zone, I feel like that's where he struggles. If he's not able to make a play with his legs, I feel like that's where Buffalo's weak point is going to be because, like you said, they don't have a running game. Week in, week out, Josh Allen is the leading rusher for the Buffalo Bills, and that's a problem. Right at the end of the day, like your quarterback should not be your leading rusher.
And it's not like they don't have capable running backs. We've seen Devin Singletary. We've seen him have good games last year. So I mean, I think he's a quality back, but I just don't know what's going on. I mean, they also have a pretty decent O-line, probably maybe top 10 in the league. So it's not like they're not capable. I just think they just depended on Josh Allen a little bit too much.
Yeah. It's hard to disagree with you. I mean, you can tell their whole offense is Josh Allen. As Josh Allen goes, that offense goes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shout out Cole Beasley, still killing it. Just a little guy in the slot, just catching passes and racking up yards. So
yeah, he got me some money. So shout out to you, Cole.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next game. Atlanta hosted the Detroit Lions. Atlanta was favored by 2.5. We took Atlanta. This game was a pretty wild game. Detroit ended up winning 23-22 to move to 3-3. Atlanta's now 1-6. The end of this game was crazy. Todd Gurley, who I don't know if you the listeners out there remember, just a couple years ago he made the smart move, which pissed a lot of fantasy owners off, of not running in for a touchdown to make sure that they were able to run the clock out. He had an opportunity to do that again. And I just don't know if the situational awareness wasn't there, if it wasn't brought up in the huddle, if the coach didn't relay the message. But you could tell that as soon as he got to the goal line, he was like, oh, crap, I need to stop. And his momentum just took him into the end zone. But trust me, the Detroit Lions were there, and they were ready to tackle him into the end zone regardless. But if he would have went down at the 1 yard line, they could have ran the clock down, kicked a field goal, and won the game.
By 2.
Won the game by 2. We still would have lost because we had him favored by 2.5. So we were in a lose-lose situation here at this point anyway. So, hey, Todd Gurley, get your bonus. I'm sure he helped somebody win in the world. Like, he was on somebody's fantasy team, and they won their league just because of that touchdown. So. Do you know whose fantasy team he was on? The guy I was playing.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, so he was
Sorry
on
to hear that.
He was on Scott's team. So
that guy. Yeah.
Good old Scott.
Yeah, he's been making a whole bunch of trades.
He's the most famous guy in our league, and he has no idea. So obviously Todd Gurley scores that touchdown to go up by at that point they went up by
it was 20 to
I guess I could do
16.
the math.
Yeah, 2016. Then they ended up it was 2016. Then they went for 2, so made it 22 to 16, right?
Yeah. So I still don't think that math is right, but you guys get it.
Yeah. Yeah. So they would have won by 1 if they would have went for the field goal. It would have been 17-16.
Okay, so the Lions end up driving down the field. T.J. Hawkinson catches a pass. Lions end up winning this game. Typical Atlanta fashion to blow a lead, right? Like that's just kind of what they do.
Yeah.
Granted, this wasn't really. I mean, yes, they blew a lead, but it wasn't a huge lead like what they've blown in the past.
And then opposite what the Lions do, they're the ones that typically blow these leads.
This is a battle of teams that like to blow leads. So Tim, I'm sure, was thrilled. I'm sure that as soon as Todd Gurley ran into the end zone, he couldn't wait for Matt Stafford to have a chance. Matt Stafford, good quarterback.
Great quarterback.
Great quarterback. I have no problem with saying that. He dog shit teams around him, but
that's facts.
Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like we've talked about this a lot, but is there anything else about this game that you want to discuss?
Nah, just
Falcons are bad. Falcons are bad at football.
The Falcons confuse me, man. Like they got they're only 3 years removed from a Super Bowl. Like, how do you just go from that? And
I mean, you saw what happened in that Super Bowl.
But still, they were. Well, I think like Shanahan. He's top 3 head coach now. That definitely had an effect on the team. But they confused me with Julio, Matt Ryan. You got a quality QB. You got top 5 receiver. I don't know. I scratch my head with them because I mean they should be winning more games, but they're going to beat a team. They're going to beat a good team this year. It's going to happen just because they have the talent to do so. They're just never consistent.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they're very talented, an offensive team for sure. So, yeah, I mean, but you can tell they're starting to clean house a little bit. They're trading away. I hate that I can't remember his name. But their defensive end, who was their first round pick,
McKinley.
Yeah, was it Tack McKinley?
Yeah, Tack McKinley. Yeah, that sounds right. So I didn't know they traded him.
Yeah, they put him on the trade block. They haven't traded him yet, but he's on the trade block.
Gotcha.
They're fielding offers for him. So it kind of seems like they're kind of throwing to see. I mean, when you're 1-6, again, you got to pretty much win out. I mean, there's an extra wild card team this year, but you still got to win out to have a chance of making the playoffs. So at this point, why not start planning for the future, right?
Yeah,
especially next year, we don't know what the salary cap's going to look like. It's going to be lower.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to make space somewhere.
Right, and they're in the NFC South with New Orleans and the Bucks
And Carolina.
With New Orleans and the Bucks.
And Carolina.
With New Orleans and the Bucks. So yeah, just pack it in.
All right, so I feel like we've talked about this game enough. Let's go ahead and move on to the next game.
This is the most we talked about the two losing programs.
Yeah, right. Oh man. All right. Let's. Speaking of losing programs, we're gonna talk about Dallas and Washington. So the Washington football team hosted the Dallas Cowboys. This was a pick'em game. We took the Cowboys because
of talent.
Purely talent. If you look at their offense, I mean, there's no reason they shouldn't have won this game other than the fact that I don't think they like Mike McCarthy. I don't know. I'm not in the locker room, but you kind of get that vibe. Zeke is checked out. It feels like he's checked out. Dak went down, obviously. That's a big loss for this team. And then you lose Andy Dalton to a fairly dirty, cheap shot on a quarterback that's sliding, especially a guy that's not athletic. I mean, Andy Dalton's more athletic than Tom Brady, but he's not Lamar Jackson, right?
Right.
If he's sliding, let him go down. But so they lost him, and then I believe the guy that came in his name's DiNucci.
Yeah,
I want to say that's right.
Something like that.
From James Madison. So,
don't say it like that, James Madison.
Hey, shout out to him. He's a college football player. And he's in the NFL, so he's got talent, right?
Yeah.
No disrespect, Mr. DiNucci.
Yeah, coming to small schools like that, man.
Right. Hey, shout out Mac.
Yeah, that's right.
Maction.
Yeah, Mac Conference.
But so Andy Dalton got knocked out of the game. Washington dominated pretty much from start to finish here. Dallas truly just looks like they've quit, and they've already started releasing players. Dontari Poe, I don't know, by the time we're recording this, he's probably been released. Their cornerback, Worley, is getting released as well, unless they've been traded that we just haven't seen yet. But Dallas looks like they're throwing the season away, and the Washington football team, with all the issues that they've had, have a shot to win this division again, which I don't know. I hate to admit this, but I want to say that you had mentioned that they had a shot at the beginning of the year. I know you were big on the Eagles, and the Eagles still have a shot too, just because this division is the clear definition of a dumpster fire. But let's hear it. Let's hear what you have to say about these teams.
Dallas is terrible. They're. I mean, it's a lot to overcome. I don't think. They were with maybe one starter was on their line, but everybody else was hurt. I know Zach Martin, I think he was out with a concussion. I could be wrong about that. But either way, that's a lot to overcome with, Washington's, defensive line. But still, they, skill wise, it's just frustrating. I don't understand. There's something rotten going on, but I think they got a pretty good head coach with McCarthy, but you still got to buy into what he's doing. I mean, he's won a Super Bowl. He's won more than what any of those. Any of the Cowboys have won. But. I don't know. I don't even want to talk about them anymore. I don't want to talk about the Cowboys anymore. But with Washington, I think they're maybe a couple players away from winning this division. I think they believe that they have a shot. Ron Rivera, I think he's a really good coach. I think you would agree with that too. But I think he's instilled belief in this team that they can win the division, to win the division. With the benching of Dwayne Haskins, they just and they play well. On Sunday with Gibson, had 128 and a touchdown. McLaurin had a pretty good game, 90 yards and a touchdown. So he's a defensive coach by trade. So and that's why I said before the season that they might have a outside shot because of like his trade and like because of their defensive line. So they may win the division, but it's not going to happen. And y'all know why it's not going to happen.
He's alluding to the Eagles. For those of you who don't know Avery, he thinks the Eagles are still going to win it, which they have a shot. Because the winner of this division is going to have a record of like 6-10, or maybe 6-9-1.
6-9-1
if the Eagles end up winning this. But I agree with what you just said. Defensive-minded coach Ron Rivera, that defensive line, very good defensive line, right? I mean, I agree with what you said. This team is just a couple pieces away. They're a young team. Terry McLaurin. Second-year guy out of Ohio State?
Yep.
Antonio Gibson, is he a rookie?
Yep.
He's a rookie.
I think he was from Memphis, fourth round, third or fourth round.
Yeah, so I mean, he's putting up stats. Logan Thomas, tight end, playing well.
Former QB.
What's that?
Former QB.
Hey, I did not know that.
Virginia Tech.
Okay.
Yeah. So they let former QBs just score on like Dallas. What are we doing?
So there's a
no. I'm sorry, Alice Cowboys. Y'all definitely don't have any defense. Y'all no D. So y'all the Alice Cowboys.
So yeah, I mean Washington as with everything that they've had going on, they lost their mascot. Like obviously is. I mean, we're not gonna give our opinions on that, but I mean they're the football team now, so they had to go through a whole identity change. Their owner causing all kinds of issues. There's sexual harassment in the workplace. I mean, there's a lot of distractions, and anytime there's distractions up at the top level, that trickles down typically. So shout out to Ron Rivera with what he's able to do, all while battling cancer. That was pretty awesome to see him ring that bell after his first round of treatments. So
yeah, they could be 3-4 if they didn't go for that silly 2-point conversion against the Giants.
That one hurt my wallet a little bit.
We bet the over on that.
Yeah. So anyway, man, with how bad this division is, I feel like we've given them too much attention already. So let's go ahead and move on to the last game of the Big Boy Parlay. Kansas City was favored by 9.5 at Denver. The Chiefs played how the Chiefs are supposed to play in this game. They won 43-16. Special teams touchdown. They had a kickoff return for a touchdown, interception return for a touchdown. Patrick Mahomes, a couple passing touchdowns for him. Denver just didn't really seem like they were able to get anything going. There's got to be some question marks of whether or not Drew Lock is going to be your guy moving forward. I think it's time to start having that conversation. Granted, he just came back off of a shoulder injury. As a quarterback, I don't know if you guys know this, but you use your shoulder quite a bit.
Really?
Yeah, right? I mean, it's crazy to think about.
Interesting.
But I'll also tell you that, like, penalties and turnovers were the difference because, again, we had a game like this last week. I don't remember what team it was, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago. If you were to look at these two teams on paper side by side, Denver had more offensive total yards than what Kansas City had, more first downs, more plays ran, all of that across the board. Time of possession, Denver dominated the stats. What they didn't dominate was the turnovers and the penalties. I mean, they were penalized like crazy. I believe the Chiefs only had one penalty for 15 yards, so I didn't watch this game, so I'm assuming that was a personal foul, maybe a pass interference. Yeah, I mean, Kansas City's playing Kansas City-style football. Denver played Denver-style football for the most part. They're dealing with a lot of injuries there. Anything surprise you about this game, Avery, or did this game kind of go as planned?
I think Kansas City can beat you however you want to be beat. Whether you want to, if you want to, try to stop the run. They got Patrick Mahomes. And if you want to, try to prevent the pass, their offensive line has been surprisingly physical, and the run game has been surprisingly physical. With Clyde Edwards-Helaire, And also with Le'Veon Bell coming in, so there's pick your poison. However you want to try to play them, they got an answer for it. The fact they can score on defense and then score on special teams, they're just they're already got a good offense, but when they're rolling, when you score in like all three phases of the game, like you're going to win most of your games. So
yeah, absolutely. So the next thing, I hate to move on quickly from that, but Kansas City's Kansas City. Like Avery just said, they're going to beat you however you want to get beat. So you can game plan to stop Patrick Mahomes, their running game is going to beat you. You can game plan to stop Travis Kelce. Tyreek Hill is going to beat you. I mean, they've got unlimited weapons.
So many ways to beat you.
Yeah, and their defense is starting to step up too. I mean, you see that with the pick six. I mean, they're getting more pressure on quarterbacks. So, and the special teams, there's just too much speed on the field, really. So that's going to wrap up the big boy parlay. Like I said, we went 3, 4, and 2. Not our best performance. Yeah, we're really hoping we can win one of these. We still got plenty of weeks left. We just finished up week 7, so I believe we still have 10 more weeks left. Yeah, so look out for our next big boy parlay. That's going to be coming on the next episode. Just to wrap up the rest of the games, Patriots got absolutely destroyed by the 49ers, 33-6. Tampa Bay blew out Las Vegas, 45-20. The Rams embarrassed the Chicago Bears on Monday Night Football, 24-10 in LA. And then Seattle and Arizona went into overtime. Arizona ended up upsetting Seattle, 37-34, which that was just a crazy game. I believe like last 2 minutes of that game, I don't even know how many points were scored, but it was back and forth, and it was absolutely insane. So, Avery, you got anything you want to pull out from those games that you want to talk about?
Tampa Bay starting to gel a little bit. They're a dangerous football team. With the Seattle Seahawks, Jamal Adams can't be your best pass rusher. I know they made a move to get Dunlap today. That will help a little bit, but he can't be your best pass rusher. I mean, if you want to be title contenders, I know you have them going 14-2. They're still on track to do that, so they can still do it. Yeah. But I know everybody's saying let Russ cook. I mean, you're going to get games like that. With 3, he had 3 interceptions. Shout out to Isaiah Simmons though.
Finally,
he had 5 snaps.
Finally,
he had only 5 defensive snaps, and then he had that 1 pick. That is production. It's like so hopefully he gets on the field more often. Rams were like really physical on Monday. I know you're not the biggest Bears fan, but people need to, I think they're still contenders because they do have a elite defense, so they're just going to keep them in most of their games. But with this, on Monday it just wasn't the game. So.
You could just tell that they just don't match up well with what the Rams were bringing to the table. Rams, they run so much play action, where Chicago just doesn't have the personnel, or maybe it's the scheme to be able to stop that. And the question really becomes, like, how do you stop it? I mean, when they're playing that well, and Jared Goff played a pretty good game, and when you're getting Henderson and Brown getting production out of the backfield, that's a very good team. Plus, you got Aaron Donald there in the middle. Aaron Donald got reminded that he had never sacked Nick Foles. Finally got a sack on Nick Foles.
Half a sack, I think.
Half a sack, but a sack's a sack.
Yeah.
The Rams look good. Chicago, for me, I hated on them at the beginning of the season. I said there was a good chance they don't win a game. I had them 1-15.
That was goofy.
I still just think that they've lucked their way into these wins. I'm not sold on Chicago. I'm not sold on Matt Nagy. I'm not sold on Big Richard Foles. I'm not
Richard Foles.
Anyway, I'll explain that one to Avery off the show. I'm not sold on what Chicago's bringing to the table. I believe they're still leading the NFC North.
Well, they haven't played Green Bay yet.
Yeah, so I guess it's going to come down to them and the Packers because Minnesota's out of it. Detroit might make a little bit of a run for a wild card spot, but I honestly kind of hope that they do make a wild card spot, and then I just want to make sure I watch that game with Tim. Oh, just because it is so entertaining to watch Lions football games with him and see them lose.
But you're not going to make it to the playoffs. No.
Yeah.
No.
I'm not saying they will. I'm just saying there's an outsider's chance.
Oh, yeah, it's always a chance.
So, anyway, that wraps up Week 7. Anything we didn't talk about, Avery, that you want to hit on?
No, I don't think so.
All right, so now we're going to move on to our boom and bust players of the week. It's a segment we just started just a couple weeks ago. This week, our boom player is going to be Tyler Lockett. 15 catches, 200 yards, 3 touchdowns. There's some receivers that will go a full half of the season and not get those stats. So, granted, Seattle ended up losing that game, but Tyler Lockett, I feel like this is kind of the game that people have been waiting for out of him because DK Metcalf has truly been the focal point of that passing attack all season. Metcalf was
not all season, but
a lot of the season.
Yeah, I mean, because this is his second 3-touchdown game this year. Lockett's.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I don't have him on fantasy, so I've been as a Seattle fan right now. I'm going to call myself a fan.
Well, yeah, I mean, you've been on the bandwagon,
right? I've been on the bandwagon. I should have known that, but so DK was kind of, I don't want to say he was non-existent in this game, but he definitely didn't perform up to his level. However, let's not forget that he saved a pick 6. DK is fast.
He is extremely fast.
I mean, when you talk about what you want out of a receiver, right? Physically gifted. His ability to run routes is better than what people thought it was going to be. And then when you see your receiver make an effort play like that, I hope DK Metcalf goes on to be the greatest receiver of all time because he has everything you want out of a receiver. So, I don't know. That's my take. Very high on DK Metcalf. It might be because he's with my guy Russell Wilson in Seattle and they're going to win the Super Bowl this year. But, yeah. So, anyway,
okay.
Tyler Lockett, boom player. Bust player is a guy who, when the season started, I was kind of upset that the Panthers didn't bring him back because he played a few good games. But he ended up getting benched this week. And that was Cam Newton, who went 9 for 15, 98 yards, and 3 interceptions. So, Cam Newton, bust player, a guy who has played in the league as long as he has, who is as physically gifted and talented as what he is. You can't put up stats like that. And, I mean, he said it in a press conference after the game that he was disappointed in himself. He agreed with being benched. He knows that if he keeps playing like that, he's going to probably end up getting permanently benched. And then it comes into question who's going to sign him, right? Like, he went 7 months in the offseason without getting signed by a team. So that's not a good look. You know, maybe the genius Bill Belichick, who thought he saw something that no one else saw, maybe it was all just an illusion. Anyway, that's my boom and bust. Let's hear your opinion, and then let's hear your boom and bust players.
No, I would probably say the same players.
That's fair.
I mean, I don't think there's a whole bunch of other options. You know, there's honorable mentions, like Devontae Adams or something like that for the boom player. But, yeah, no, I agree with you on that.
Perfect. Hey, it's always good when we agree. We don't agree often.
It's not often.
So, all right, now let's go ahead and move on to power rankings. So this week, number 1, I got Pittsburgh up there at number 1. Last week I had Seattle at number 1, I believe. Kansas City moved up to number 2. Seattle's number 3 for me. Tennessee's number 4, and Tampa Bay comes in at number 5. Who do you got?
I got Kansas City 1. I got Pittsburgh at 2. I got Kansas City 3. No, I'm sorry. Tampa Bay at 3, not Kansas City. Yeah, they're gelling right now. They're dangerous.
And they're about to get Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
Coin flip on what he's going to do, but something tells me that if we get the Antonio Brown Tom Brady connection that we saw in that one game,
the one sample
England,
size,
that Tampa Bay just got a whole lot more dangerous.
Yeah, and with Chris Godwin being hurt, so that could have just been I don't know because Chris Godwin's been hurt. Well, all the the Buccaneers receivers been struggling with injuries, so. So it could have been just. I mean, even with COVID, it's just insurance, just more insurance. So I got them at number 3. Number 4, I got the Tennessee Titans, and number 5, I got the Seattle Seahawks.
Oh, drop my Seahawks down there to number 5, huh?
I mean, that's out of respect for Russell Wilson. But outside of Russell Wilson, there and KJ Wright and Wagner, they're just
They
average.
win football games.
Yeah, well, yeah, a lot because of and their receivers too. But outside of those people and their head coach, they're just an average football team.
Oof, yikes. Anyway, also you got Kansas City above Pittsburgh. For me, I have Pittsburgh above Kansas City because of their defense. What's your reasoning for having KC above Pittsburgh?
More so just because just history.
Okay.
I got it. If Pittsburgh, comes out and I don't know. Pittsburgh still got to beat
Just
Baltimore.
a hater is what it sounds like.
No.
Just a hater.
Because if Kansas City and Pittsburgh plays, I would think Kansas City would win. So that's my reason. Pretty much.
Okay. Hey, we're all entitled to our opinions, wrong or not.
Yeah, wrong or not, So we'll see. That's why you play the game.
So that wraps up our discussion on Week 7. Good week in football. Any week that we have football still is a good week in football. We're coming into Week 8. So let's talk about Thursday Night Football. We got Atlanta going to Carolina to play the Panthers. Carolina's favored by 2.5 here. Over-under is 51.5. If you were to place a bet on this, what would you take?
Dude, I don't know because I don't know what Atlanta team I'm going to get. They got Julio's back. So, I don't think he played the first time, right?
He did not.
Yeah, so just because Julio's back, I'm going to take Atlanta to win this game.
This is a tough one because I agree. You just don't know which Carolina team's going to show up, and you don't know which Atlanta team's going to show up.
I think Carolina's a lot more consistent on offense than Atlanta may be, it's just like what defense is going what defense is going to show up for both teams.
I think that's the major difference here is both of these teams are extremely talented on offense. I think Carolina does have the edge on defense. They're just playing better right now. They're playing more consistent, I guess is what I would say. So I would agree with you on the consistency piece. 2.5 points, basically, it's decided by a field goal. I would lean towards Carolina for this one here. You guys know I'm an emotional bettor, and I try to take as much emotion out of it, so I don't usually bet on Carolina, at least not to win or lose or take the spread. So I would lean Carolina minus 2.5 here, but I wouldn't actually place that bet. I would be more comfortable with the over-under here. I'm actually going to go ahead and take the under. I think that this game is going to – I think the running game is going to be a big factor here, and we just talked about how Carolina's running game was not great this past week. I don't think they're going to have that performance twice in a week or twice in back-to-back weeks. So I could see Carolina running the ball a lot. Christian McCaffrey may be back. He's practicing again. I think
that's going to make a difference.
That's going to be a huge difference maker in this game.
Yeah, Mike Davis has been doing well, but I think Christian is just – we've seen he's just a little bit more explosive, a little bit more dynamic. So
yeah,
if he comes back, I think that would probably maybe change my opinion, maybe. But
maybe.
I don't know.
Just a little bit.
I don't know.
So I'd probably take the under here, 51.5. I'd go under. I think it's very – yeah, I would take the under. So I could easily see this game being another one of those 27-24.
Yeah, 27-24.
Like exactly how their last game, how Carolina's last game was. I don't think Atlanta's better than New Orleans, and that's really what it comes down to for me. I don't see Atlanta scoring more than 24 points. And then I guess the wild card here is if Carolina shows up and puts up points. But I think that's still a question mark. Christian McCaffrey, if he does play, if he does come back, it's his first game back. How much is he going to get utilized? How much are they going to let him loose? And then there's a lot of pressure on Teddy at that point to have another big connection game with DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson. DJ Moore finally had a huge breakout game. He had a decent game earlier in the season, but you don't get a 2-touchdown, 98-yard reception game like that out of DJ Moore every week. So I think there's a lot of factors that play into this game when it comes to scoring, and I just don't think that those factors are in favor of this being a high-scoring game.
Fair enough.
So yeah, if I would lean towards Carolina minus 2.5, I would probably bet the under at 51.5. So that's what we got, man. That's what's on our list to talk about here. Avery, you got anything you want to add?
I don't. Appreciate you all listening. Watching our first video, 50th
episode.
So it's a milestone. Congrats.
Yeah, I also want to take a moment just to thank these guys, Avery, Tim, Trevor, anyone who's come on the show, Mickey, Brandon Fokin, Bartley Weaver, anyone who's been a guest on the show. Thank you guys, because as much as I love to hear myself talk, I'm sure no one wants to just hear me talking to a microphone for an hour twice a week. So having someone to go back and forth with on some of these discussions has been nice. Also, because we're a small business, like I said, we're recording inside my gym right now, which is another small business of mine, and I have a full-time job. My schedule doesn't always allow me to give these guys a concrete time for time or day for when we're going to be recording. So the flexibility of these guys has been great. Episode 50, the first 50 out of hopefully a couple thousand episodes to come your guys' way. If you guys want to support us, in the description below, there's gonna be a little link. You can click on that link to donate some money towards our business to help us grow. Make sure you're subscribed. Tell your friends about us. Follow us on social media at Bourbon and Bets on Twitter and Instagram. At Bourbon and Bets podcast on Facebook. And then don't forget about the giveaway, guys. Instagram, like the photo, share it to your story, tag 3 friends. Follow all of those instructions, because if you don't follow all of those, then you're not entered into the contest. So we're not asking for a ton, but if you could do that, just because when you guys do all those things, it helps raise awareness for the podcast, and that helps us grow. So if you guys could do that for us, that would be great. YouTube, obviously this is our first show. Hopefully the sound quality is okay. I did see a few spikes as we were recording, so we'll see how those all sound. But we want to make YouTube part of what we do on a episode by episode basis. So look forward to doing some more of these, and we hope you guys are excited to see some more videos. Sorry you have to see my face now. I got more of a face for radio, but this is what you get. So
yeah, he speaks for himself.
Yeah, pretty Avery over here. So yeah, guys, that's going to be it. That wraps up today's episode. Hopefully you guys have a great. I'm going to get this out tonight, so this is Wednesday. You guys may not listen to it until tomorrow on Thursday. We are going to be coming out with another episode to talk about the Week 8 games and the Week 8 Big Boy Parlay. So stay tuned for that, and until we see you guys again, enjoy.